What's behind the biggest Africa summit on Russian soil since the fall of the Soviet Union? Vladimir Putin welcoming more than 40 leaders to the Black Sea resort of Sochi, hot on the heels of that deal he brokered Tuesday with Turkey, Syria and the Kurds. Another diplomatic coup that's sure to be picked up by his guests who see U.S. foreign presence on the retreat and a UK in the throes of Brexit. They also get the value of hedging their bets when it comes to strategic partnerships with the likes of China and France. But those leaders also know that when it comes to Africa, Moscow's economic might lags. Beyond traditional staples such as arms sales and intelligence, what can Russia bring? And what does it want? We'll ask our panel and ask why Russia has taken a sudden interest in the likes of the Central African Republic and Congo, resource-rich countries with weak states. Could we see a return to the Cold War days when the Soviets held sway everywhere stretching from Angola to Algeria? Today in the France 24 debate, we're looking at Russia's role in Africa. And with us is Anastasia Chapotchinka, lecturer at the French Political Science Institute, Sciences Po. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Also with us, he is the publisher of Afrique magazine, the monthly Ziad Liman. We're joined as well by Andréa Ngombet, associate researcher at the IPSE think tank.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. And he was not a journalist when they built the Berlin Wall, but George Cazalis...
No, I wasn't. You're right. When they took it down.
George Cazalis, who teaches, former colleague who teaches at the École Supérieure de Journalisme. Thank you for being with us. The France 24 debate on Facebook and on Twitter, hashtag F24debate. All 54 nations on the continent represented, more than 3,000 delegates talking about, well, everything from... helicopter purchases, to nuclear technology, to mineral extraction, and yes, arms sales. Alan Gainsford has more. Andréa Ngombet, is there a third scramble for Africa, as we heard in that report?
Not really, because the African continent has many partners and they can now talk for themselves. But we need to have a strategy. We need to have people, inspiring leaders like the one in Ethiopia or elsewhere, because it's not just the Russian coming, it's also the African searching for a new partner around the world.
Yeah, we had Vladimir Putin congratulating Abiy Ahmed over winning the Nobel Peace Prize.
Everybody is congratulating the guys now.
Right, Ethiopia's leader. What do you make of this summit? What's it all about?
I think mostly it's about for Russia to gain new influences in Africa and also to say that they are back. Russia is back and they can go beyond the sanction from the Western country, and they need to show power, show muscles. And also it's a matter of access to what we call warm sea for Russia, like in Mediterranean Sea and the Guinea Gulf. So it's more about
Andréa Ngombet, associate researcher at the IPSE think tank, who hails from Congo.
Yeah, I'm from Congo-Brazzaville, and I have a quick comment.
Just let me say hello to everybody else, and then we'll get back to it in a minute. George Cazalis, who teaches at the École Supérieure du Journalisme, the journalism school, and from Johannesburg, William Gumede, executive chair of the Democracy Works Foundation. Andréa, let's look once more at Russia's role in the continent, on par in terms of trade, right, with Turkey and Brazil, and less than half of that of France. France is around 51 billion euros. I guess you got to do the math to say what that is in dollars. But again, it gets back to that question: is this about economics, this summit, or is it just about politics? Really,
I really think it's not about economy, because when you see the long term and the deep of the foreign policy of Russia. Russia is a landlocked empire, and all the politics of Russia was to go deeper in the south or in the east. So going to Africa is a way for Russia to have a new access to a warm sea like the Mediterranean Sea and all the South Atlantic Sea. They need to be more in the sea to control the access and the resources, and to not be dependent just from Europe or even China. So they really need Africa to have this kind of long view and expansion for their army, their interest. And also, we must not forget that Russia is a permanent Security Council member, and they trade their veto to every power they can, and it's more about that and not just for economy.
Let's talk about it, because there's one man who's on everybody's lips as this summit gets underway. He's been called Putin's chef. He's 58 years old. His name is Evgeny Prigozhin. And after doing hard time in the 1980s for banditry, he started as a hot dog salesman, became a caterer for the Kremlin, now seems to be playing middleman on the continent. It's the same Prigozhin, by the way, who's been named in the Mueller report in the United States for allegedly running troll farms to influence the 2016 U.S. election. He heads a mercenary security outfit called Wagner, which is present in Ukraine, but also, most notably, in the DR Congo and the Central African Republic, the CAR, where they started ensuring the president's security detail when the French pulled back, if you will. In July of last year, 3 Russian journalists were killed in the CAR. They were investigating Prigozhin and Wagner, documents linked by the Dossier Center. That's a research group associated with exiled Russian dissident Mikhail Khodorkovsky, claimed that Russia is targeting 13 African nations in total, with everything from arms sales to support for pro-Kremlin media outfits in places like Madagascar, where they now have the biggest circulation daily newspaper. But to get back to the CAR, what is that Russian involvement in CAR all about for you?
I met President Touadéra in TICAD 7 in Yokohama, and we must separate two things. Mr. Touadéra was right to call for the Russian for arms and to try to ease the conflict in the country. But the guys you just presented is involving in what we can call in information warfare. So he's doing what we can call now Pravda 2.0. So it's all techniques with new technology.
Putin comes with Prigozhin if you're in CAR.
It's just all technique with new technology. And they are on their own agenda, on nationalism agenda, exciting extremism all over the world, exciting people like Camille Seba, which is one of the most famous activists on anti-French agenda. And also on the other end, you have what they call the Western media and news like France 24, who from their perspective are also trying to evangelize Africa on kind of Western values. So,
Anastasia Shapochinka,
it's a war going on.
I was going to ask you about this, Andréa Ngombet. What do ordinary citizens think when they hear about people like Evgeny Prigozhin and suspicions around the murder of those 3 journalists who were investigating him?
There's two sides of the sentiment of public opinion in Africa. There's one side who really doesn't like Western people. They don't want to get rid of what they call colonialism and imperialism. And they are really kind to be in the Russian flow. And you have also the other flow who just want to make a living. And they don't want to be killed by anyone from Wagner company or any else company. And they're trying to survive in this kind of, as I mentioned, this information war going on. And to be fair, the guys from Wagner and the Russian are just filling the void left by PR company from Western country who can't operate anymore in Africa, like the Bell Potential company collapsed for the Gupta leaks in South Africa, and many more companies from Western countries, they can't operate in Africa freely because of the new regulation. So the Western PR strategy is filling the void the African autocrat needs. So it's a kind of for strong people against...
but is it a long-term plan, George Kazolis?
I don't understand that. You make it sound like the Russians are doing something nobody else is doing.
No, I don't say that.
Everywhere I've gone, there have been so-called private contractors operating, protecting oil wells, protecting... As a matter of fact, the U.S. Embassy in Bangui, when I was there last in December 17, was run by private contractors. There wasn't an ambassador there. They were giving the orders to the diplomats what they could do and could not do. You make it sound like the Russians are doing something nobody else is doing.
Yeah,
Andréa Ngombet?
Yeah, one thing, don't get me wrong. I'm not preaching an anti-Russian speeches. I'm just saying that Russia is right to defend what they think it's the Russian interest. But I saw on the African side that the country doesn't have a clear strategy of what's going on. They don't have a strategy on having a true sovereignty on their border, on the sea and the water, ocean, and the resource. So going to Russia just like this is like going to China, it's like going back to any other country. We need to have a clear understanding on what Africa needs. And then we can trade with people on a same basis. And Russia is really right to do what they do because they need their power, they need to have access, they need to have all of that. And we need to understand what Africa needs.
Anastasia, right, we're going to leave it there for now. Anastasia Shapochkina, I want to thank you. I want to thank as well Ziad Liman. George Kazolius, I want to thank Andréa Ngombet. I want to thank as well William Gumedi for being with us from Johannesburg. Stay with us. Media Watch is next.
Right, exactly.
Right.
When it's going to happen?
UFOs on the way down.
It will happen.
No, it will happen.
Okay.
Probably will.
James Green, many thanks. I want to thank our panel again. Thank you for being with us here in the France 24 debate.